Okay, welcome to Grounded with John Tester and Maritza Giorgio. We are just going to get on here, go over some headlines before our episode today. We have Dr. Michael Osterholm, and he's an epidemiologist who is on President Biden's COVID-19 task force. He's currently the director of the Center for Infectious Disease Research and Policy at the University of Minnesota. I know, I already hear you. But also, I wanted to mention that today is our 47th episode of Grounded. 47. Does that number mean anything to you?
Well, it's how many years I've been married. Why? Is there
uh,
another?
well, I see a lot of people use 47 to describe our current president if they don't want to use his
Oh,
name.
oh. Well, I figured you were keeping track of my wedding anniversaries. And
Well, that too.
48's coming up in about a week, so
Oh, congrats.
yeah.
Yeah, so
Well,
we have a lot to talk about with our guest today. Just a few weeks ago, he wrote on social media that he hadn't seen a more dangerous decision in public health in his 50 years in the business. Of course, he was talking about the Department of Health and Human Services terminating $500 million in mRNA vaccine research funding. So that's when we booked him. That's when we reached out and said, we want to book you. But now we have so much more to ask him about because of this shakeup at the CDC.
yeah, it's going to be interesting to get his perspective on all this. I mean, I got a notion. I know what his perspective is going to be, but he's worked in the field, a different kind of field than I work in, not a wheat field, but the field of medicine. And so it'll be interesting to get his perspective on the impacts of this, the taking away the money for research, the getting rid of people in the agency, the goofiness of RFK Jr.'s healthcare perspective, and why this is what people have to live under. I mean, what a bunch of crap. But we'll get his perspective. It'll be fun.
Yeah, so let's just go into the details, the latest at the CDC. The director was fired by the president less than a month on the job. And then she said, oh, no, I'm not leaving. And then Thursday, three other top officials were escorted out of the building after they announced that they were resigning over Secretary RFK Jr.'s policies on vaccines. Now, your former colleague, Senator Bill Cassidy, says the departures require oversight by his committee, the HELP Committee. So we're going to get into a lot more about this with Dr. Osterholm, but it's a big deal. And it comes at the same time as the president trying to fire the Federal Reserve Governor, Lisa Cook. They had a 2-hour court hearing on that today with, actually no immediate ruling. There's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff sliding down the hill, and none of it smells real good. I would.
You're going to be tame today? You're going to say stuff? Wow,
Shit.
I'm not.
There's a
Oh,
lot of
okay.
shit rolling down the hill, and I don't know which turd to pick up. All right, I've used that line once before. We can use it a line every day. But the truth is that one of the things that this country did really, really, really well before this administration was research. We led the world in it, and quite frankly, I guess we're giving that to China now because researchers are going to research, and if they don't do it here, they'll do it somewhere else. Then they'll create economy somewhere else, and that is a fact. And if you want to live back in the day that my grandfather lived, when there were very few, if any, vaccinations, then go ahead. But then you're going to see things like childhood mortality rate go up. You're going to see the age go down of people that they aren't going to be living in their 70s and 80s anymore. I mean, this is really, really dangerous. And maybe RFK doesn't care because he goes swimming in a cesspool with his grandkids and thinks that's okay. So his judgment isn't really the best. But for all these people that are anti-vaxxers and that don't think vaccines do any good, God damn it, read your history, man. Look at what this country was like 100 years ago. And sure, everybody wants to bring back the good old days, but I'm not sure that people realize the good old days weren't necessarily good in some cases. And when it comes to healthcare, we've made incredible advances and we're flushing that all down the toilet. It doesn't make any sense. And it's making America anything but great again.
Yeah, we will get into that with Dr. Osterholm for sure. The other big headline from today, and then we'll get into what happened in my hometown this week. President Trump ended Secret Service protection for former Vice President Kamala Harris. Now, the White House says that vice presidents usually only get 6 months of protection after leaving office. We're finding out she had longer protection because of an executive memo that President Biden signed before he left office that extended her protection for 18 months. This isn't the first person he's taken protection away from, though.
Well, she's got to go look at John Bolton. They took protection away from John Bolton, and then he sent in the FBI to do an investigation on him. So maybe that's next for her too. Go after your political enemies. Use the Department of Justice to go after your political enemies. Don't use it for the justice system in this country. Use it for your own personal political vendetta. And for all the MAGA folks out there to listen and go, well, geez, Biden did this. Well, let me tell you something. Joe Biden didn't orchestrate an attack on the Capitol on January 6th. He didn't do that. Go back and watch the video. Go back and understand that while people were overrunning the Capitol, President Trump and his crew were having a big old party, and they could have given a shit less. They didn't call in the National Guard for that, but they will call in the National Guard to Washington, D.C. to guard the Lincoln Memorial, because I'm going to tell you, in the 18 years I was there, I'm sure there were a lot of crimes that happened around the Lincoln Memorial. This is crazy. This is craziness up and down the line here. And yeah, I mean, where to start, where to end. Like I say, there's a lot of turds to pick up.
All right. Well, there was this horrific school shooting this week in my hometown of Minneapolis. It's reigniting the debate over how we stop this from happening, how to stop any more parents from having to take a microphone at a press conference and talk about their slain child. And this morning, House Speaker Mike Johnson, he did an interview and he said that this is not the time to politicize anything on both sides of the aisle. And he says there are common sense measures that should be done that don't involve taking away guns. And someone said to me earlier this week, Senator, if nothing happened after Sandy Hook, why would something change now?
You're right, 100%. Pretty soon they're going to come out and they're going to say stuff like, well, we need to pray for these folks, or we need to make sure there's mental health capability. Well, we can all pray for the folks, and that's all a good idea. But Doge trashed the mental health aspects of this country. And so uh, for the speaker to stand up and say, after the speaker has done jack shit to hold this administration accountable, to say this is not the time to politicize it. We just need to make sure that we're all playing nice here. Somebody's kids got killed by an idiot with a gun. Okay. Let's try to figure out how we can keep the idiots from having a gun. All right. And I know we'll never keep all the idiots from having a gun, but we ought to at least make some attempt, like background checks. It wouldn't hurt. If you can't pass a background check, maybe you shouldn't have a gun. And if you unwrongly can't pass that background check, you have appeal rights to get that gun back. That's better than shooting a kid in a school. Okay. That's it. But instead, what we'll talk about is we'll talk about mental health and we'll talk about praying for people. Okay.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have to tell you, there are mental health issues all over the world, but we have predominantly astronomically higher um, gun death rates and higher mass shootings. So I do have to tell you what Secretary RFK Jr. said about this. He suggested that antidepressants like SSRIs could be contributing to the violence. And your former colleague, Minnesota Senator Tina Smith, went after him and she said, "Just shut up, stop peddling bullshit. You should be fired."
And if you know Tina Smith, to have her say, stop peddling bullshit would be like to have me quit cussing. I mean, she is one of the sweetest, honest, most decent people on earth. And for her to start talking about bullshit, it is bullshit. And so get on your hip waders because it's deep bullshit. And she is right. And God, it'd be nice to have somebody competent overseeing our healthcare in this country.
All right. Well, we have to hop off and go join our guest. There's a lot of headlines to talk about, though. We didn't even talk about Border Patrol arresting 2 firefighters while they were working a wildfire in Washington. We didn't talk about FEMA placing people on leave after signing an open letter to Congress warning about their concerns. We didn't talk about the federal government offering military funeral honors for Ashley Babbitt, who is a January 6th rioter climbing through the broken window. So there's a lot we didn't talk about, but we're going to hop off. We thank you for joining us here today. We will post our episode with Dr. Michael Osterholm later on this afternoon.
That sounds good. I
All
mean,
right.
you did everything right, Maritza.
Well,
Gosh,
no,
I'm really glad I sent you that script for you to read.
thank you. Yeah, you did so much work on it. All right. We'll chat soon, guys.
Bye.